Get serious. Get serious. Hello, everyone. Welcome to High Expectations NBA. I'm your host, Isaac, joined by your host, Ivan, and we got a lot to get into today. Breaking news, kind of just what's going around in the league and what we think is worth talking about. So, we're going to start out with this DeAndre Hunter trade between the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Sacramento Kings. Obviously, Hunter goes over to the Kings, sending that, I think there's 50 something million dollars left on that contract over 2 years. And Keon Ellis comes over to the Cavaliers, and they sent someone. Who else did they send over there? Or did they send, someone out to the Bulls? Is it just out to the Bulls?
Yeah, it was a three-team trade.
Yeah, so the Bulls took on contract, and they got 2 second round picks, one from the Kings and one from the Cavaliers, which is frankly insane to me that the Kings sent out a pick with Ellis, despite the fact that allegedly he's a hot commodity on the market right now. A lot of teams are calling.
Yeah, the Kings are pissed. I mean, at least the fan base is pretty pissed off. I mean, they were hoping they get a little more. Instead of they get DeAndre Hunter, who's young, has potential, but he's been pretty inconsistent with his performances. Maybe that's because there's too much star power on the Cleveland Cavs. But the Kings are hoping for potential, and they're betting on his potential and hoping that with more minutes on the Kings and more offensive responsibility that maybe he'll shine. But they got to get rid of a few pieces. They have to get rid of Zach LaVine or DeMar DeRozan. I feel like one of those two guys got to go, or that's just too many points or too many people scoring. You
Yeah,
got
definitely too many people that need the ball in their hands to be effective. Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan, like your biggest culprits. But um, I don't know what the Kings are doing. Like they had that light the torch, everything was gonna be great a couple years ago. They kind of looked kind of competent. They're holding on to Sabonis, but he's been in trade talks for like 2 years now. Um, they're not really picking a direction. They're doing a lot worse this year than they expected to be. They have to either tank and try to rebuild, or they have to make some moves that make sense. They keep trading for these players like DeMar DeRozan, who are allegedly good players. They spend way too much on them. Like DeAndre Hunter is a really good 3-and-D wing. He thrived last year in Cleveland after the deadline when they picked him up. He has had a bit of a down year in kind of a bigger role. So, but he's still a good player. But I don't know why the Kings are trading for good players right now, essentially, when they're the last in the league. They should just be
yeah.
trying to
I
get a
mean,
draft pick.
I mean, Cleveland just looks at this as like you know a long term trade. I think this was better for them because at the end of the day, they were eventually going to have to pay DeAndre Hunter, and that saves them 50 million in cap space in the luxury tax instead of paying what $180 million. Now they're paying like 130, 120. So I think in the long term it's a good play. Keon Ellis is on their team. Let's not forget that. They're hoping that he could
Keon
keep
Ellis
that
was
role.
the steal of this entire trade. Like
Exactly.
that's the big thing here. I just
And I think that go ahead. Free.
Well, with the Darius Garland thing, they bring in another guard in Dennis Schroeder. Oh, that was the other piece of this. So Dennis Schroeder gets brought in during this trade. He's another kind of ball handler for them. Obviously, Darius Garland's been pretty injured this year. Last year, there were stretches where he was, I think, clearly the best player on Cleveland. I mean, Donovan Mitchell had a really slow start to the year, and Darius Garland was kind of the big reason that they kept those win streaks alive. They had two like double-digit win streaks last year. And ever since that toe injury, Darius hasn't been able to stay on the floor. He's come back a couple times for a handful of games here and there, but he just can't stay healthy. So the added ball handling is definitely useful. DeAndre Hunter hasn't been very helpful this year for them either. So they're not really losing much on the floor. It's just kind of if Darius Garland comes back, they have a logjam at the position now.
Yeah. And honestly, like I personally think that it wouldn't be a bad play to, knock on Atlanta's door and say, "Hey, like, what are you willing to give for Garland?" I feel like that could kind of be something that they could move to have that conversation because you can get what a top 5 pick out of Atlanta with that New Orleans pick.
They're holding on to that pick. They do not wanna trade that. I mean, that apparently I saw a report, I don't know how validated, whatever the word is. I saw a report essentially that they weren't even willing to put that in trade conversations for a Giannis package, like, that was off the table.
Wow. Well, it's definitely not gonna happen with Darius Garland then. Wow. No, I think
I You know what an
Darius
interesting team
Garland.
for a Darius Garland trade? Minnesota. They're looking for a ball handler. They don't have a real point guard out there. Their primary
Yeah.
point guard's what, 37 years old, 38 years old, something like that, crazy. Um, they're in
Yeah.
Giannis
Luka
talks. A
plays
lot of
like
people.
18 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. They just don't have a lot of point guard play though. Outside of Anthony Edwards is essentially their primary ball handler right now.
Yeah. It would be a good play. But I think Minnesota's I mean, every team's pretty much just locked on making a trade until Giannis gets shipped somewhere. Like,
Yeah, that
I feel like that's the big puzzle piece. After that gets filled and someone picks up Giannis, then all the other trades will fall, I feel. It'll be like the domino effect of the Giannis trade.
yeah, I'm excited for the next like 2 or 3 days. It would be such a shame if Giannis doesn't get moved at the deadline just because of like what it's holding up. I honestly I was shocked when I saw this Hunter trade, and I you have to wonder if these are kind of moves and bigger things going on right now behind the scenes. Like maybe Sacramento knows if they can get Hunter's contract, they can use that as like a piece in either a three-team trade to kind of facilitate a Giannis trade because you're not going to get a trade done of that magnitude right now with simply two teams. You need to, for the financials, you pretty much always need to bring in some type of third team or to get the picks you need. Like, it's really difficult to do a straight out two-team trade right now with the CBA.
Yeah. Well, let's see what happens. I don't know. I'm excited for where Giannis will hopefully end up. I think have him going to Charlotte.
I saw that on a couple things, and I honestly don't hate it.
Really?
Yeah, no, you want to talk about
I
why do you
mean,
want to see him in
they
short?
would have to trade like I would like to see him in Charlotte, maybe with at least keep one of those guys. I mean, I don't know who they would be able to get away with trading because on Milwaukee, I'm asking for
Before you
Con,
continue,
asking
yeah,
Hello.
Milwaukee has said that in any trade talks, they want all of your young players and all of your picks.
Wow.
That's the asking price.
I mean,
So you'd end up Con, Brandon Miller. You'd probably have to send Lamelo out. It's just they would gut the team, but
if they can get away with keeping Lamelo and maybe shipping Bridges instead and a few first rounders, I feel like that's a
I
pretty
think
good
the
trade. And
problem
then
is
Milwaukee has Miles Turner, Miles Bridges, and LaMelo and Khan. I feel like that's a pretty good lineup over there in Milwaukee, and they immediately have potential to grow. Like I think Charlotte's 22 and 28 this season. I assume the next 2 years, if they keep their core, they're going to be in the playoffs, or at least in the play-in. We're hoping. I mean, they could still get in now, but I think Charlotte has pieces to trade. To be honest,
yeah, I think the only places that make sense for Giannis are teams that aren't going to be completely gutted when they trade for him, which is why I'm so big on Houston. I think you can get away with trading either Sangoon or Thompson, one of the two. I would not trade Thompson if I was them. It would definitely be a Sangoon package, but then Milwaukee gets a legitimate, like, fringe all NBA type player in Sangoon. They're like they can choose to be competitive in the future if they want to be, or they could fully tank out even with Sengun on the roster. He's not like good enough that he's going to win you 40 games by mistake. And then they also could get a ton. Houston has some of the most draft capital outside of San Antonio and OKC. You'd get a Fred Van Fleet in that trade just because salaries are really hard to match any other way unless Steven Adams goes over. But point is, you get good players and you're going to get good draft picks. A lot of those are Phoenix's draft picks.
now with the trade with Sengun, like, what do you do? Are you thinking like a big man lineup of Sengun and Turner?
I think Milwaukee needs to like they need to play for a draft pick this year. It's a stacked draft. They're already bottom of the East almost. They're out of the play in right now. They're 18 and 29. Giannis is out for the rest of the season. He's obviously not going to be on the team probably, but it doesn't really matter. Regardless of if they keep him or not, they need to tank for a draft pick. And I think that includes trading Miles Turner off, dump him, get some picks back. Maybe a lot of people are looking for big men.
Um, well, maybe send him back to Indiana. Bring him back home. Bring him back home to Indiana. Get
They'd
him
love that.
points.
They really would. That's crazy.
By then, they'd already have
For
top.
okay, so enough of Milwaukee and kind of this DeAndre Hunter thing. Hopefully, we'll be able to talk about some better trades here in the next
Yeah.
couple of days.
Oh,
I want to talk about kind of Paul George, the whole suspension with him, and then the Sixers and Joel Embiid. Uh, obviously, like related topics here, but kind of two separate stories.
hey, podcast PED, bro. Podcast
Podcast
PED.
PED. He went from playoff Pete to podcast Pete to fucking PED Pete. So here's the thing: they haven't. This is all drama. We getting into the drama. They haven't said uh what substance, and I think that's typical. They don't really release that information. Obviously, THC is no longer a banned substance in the NBA. He came out and said it was a mental health thing. Am I the only one that thinks PED Pete wasn't taking PEDs and he was like taking psilocybin or some type of hallucinogen, kind of like a
Well,
Aaron Rodgers situation?
now that would be interesting. I think Paul George comes out and actually reveals what it is, but I feel like they're probably pretty hush hush on it, and that's why they have him on a. I mean, they. It's a little suspicious that they gave him a 25-game suspension. Like, if it is something like that, like 25 games, are we sure
I
about
think
that? You know?
I think it's kind of a standard thing, uh, based on the severity of it. But like, I think it's like it was a 10-game suspension or something for THC testing positive like the first time around. So anything harder than that, I imagine, is longer. But I just think it's interesting that he said it was a mental health thing. He was taking drugs for his mental health, and like your peptides and stuff. Obviously, they're like people are suspicious because he's been playing so well at 30 whatever years old, and he had that crazy 9 3-pointer game the other night. But I think dude's on hallucinogens or something because I don't know how you'd use any of those other drugs for your mental health.
Yeah, I agree. I just we gotta get down to this. We gotta actually figure out what this guy's taking because I don't know if it's something like that. It shouldn't be 25 games.
That yeah, that doesn't. And also, if it's not a performance enhancing
Who
drug and it's
cares?
not if
Who
it's like you know what I
cares?
mean? Yeah,
Yeah.
just let the guy play basketball. He didn't put anyone in harm. He didn't put anyone at a disadvantage. It's like it's not like he's a drug
Yeah, if we're
thief.
looking at a little Perk Rogers situation, let it happen. Let it happen.
I think
I
it's
mean,
good
like,
for the sport.
you talk about, like, 2007 KD, been smoking. He's if that guy ever got, like, a 10-game suspension for testing positive for THC, I assume, like, there's a few players in the league who are taking some substances that are kind of hush hush because they're star players, and they're like, "Hey, you got caught. Paul George, you're a little suspicious. You're 33 or however old you are, and you're balling. You had 9 threes last night. Like, what's going on there, you know?"
Yeah,
So I feel like, I don't know, like LeBron could be taking fucking guess what? We're not gonna hear about it.
dude, you want to?
I'm
Braun's
not
going
framing
down to
LeBron.
Miami. It's not even framing. It's not even framing. Well, fuck it. LeBron's going down to Miami for 3 months out of the year and randomly comes back 10 pounds heavier and lean mass every time. You know, feeling great, and then he plays the best stretch of basketball of his career after that.
It's like, oh wow, what did you do? this offseason went
Yeah.
wrong. That was impressive.
If there are players in the league who are actively taking peptides and PEDs and not getting suspended, and like it's pretty obvious to everyone from the outside that's the situation, we should not be suspending Paul George for taking literally anything else. I don't care what he could be smoking crack and I don't care. Let him play basketball, dude.
Let the young man who let podcast
We
PED play.
Yeah. So
That's our wrap on it. Let podcast PED
that's
play.
our high expectations official. It's gonna come out that he was like doing some Diddy stuff. And we're gonna have to
Ooh.
formally apologize for our
Yeah.
previous stance. Okay,
I'm
so
sorry.
moving on here, the 76ers, who obviously Paul George is playing for, which is why this is such a big deal that he got suspended for 25 games. They are on a roll. Um, and for the last 3 years, pretty much since Joel Embiid's MVP season, the entire narrative around this team has always been if this team gets healthy, they could be a good basketball team. That's what we've been saying for the last 3 years or so now. And they're finally healthy. Joel Embiid has played I think he's almost played more games this season already than he played all of last year. If not, he already has surpassed that stat. They're doing the thing that we've been talking about, where they have a fully healthy team. Tyrese Maxey looks like an all-star. He is an all-star. He was voted into the team. Um, Joel Embiid is averaging, I think, almost 30 points in the last 20 games.
Had 40 last night. Had 40
Yeah, they had
last
a
night.
40
I
ball.
mean,
Paul George has been giving them legitimate contributions this year, which you can't even say he did last year. Obviously, hard to match that salary he's on with like expectations for meeting them. But this team is VJ Edgecombe looks fantastic. Rookie in the rookie of the year conversation. Obviously, clearly like
uh,
that second echelon, but he's in there.
Aaron
What do you think
McCann's
about the
coming
team?
back and
Yeah.
I mean, I think the Sixers are like they're hot. I mean, this might be one of those situations where we talk about the Sixers right now, and then guess what? Embiid's out for 2 months. He's out for the rest of the season. Um, fucking McCain's out. I think obviously Paul George is already out for 25 games. But I mean, they got young pieces that are playing. Quinn Grimes is still playing. He's playing great over there, the Sixers. You got VJ Edgecombe. It's a really young team. They're the sixth in the East. I think there's a chance that it could get to the second round. I mean, the East. How are we feeling about the East? I feel like it's kind of left open there, so they could sneak into the Eastern Conference Finals if they keep playing the way they're playing. They got Joel Embiid having this really amazing. He just dropped 40. He's averaging 30 in the last how many games? You said
In the last 20 games, I believe he's averaging almost 30. I think it's
almost
under
30.
by a little bit.
How about
But the fact that you can
how about
say he
him?
played 20 games is crazy.
Exactly. You said he played 19 earlier before we started recording. Like
Yeah, I believe he played 19 games last season, and he's already played 28 this year out of, I believe, the 46 they've played. So it's not great, but it's also
that's
way better
pretty
than last year.
pretty damn good.
He might be at a
Exactly.
50-game
You
pace.
got an MVP player playing.
Here's
That's
my
not enough.
bold
As long as he's fully healthy in the postseason.
Yeah. Here's my bold take, actually. The 76ers are fantastic. They're out of their mind. They're crazy if they don't trade Joel Embiid this either before the deadline this year, which there's been no conversation about. I haven't seen that anywhere, or if they don't trade him in the offseason. Despite the fact that he's healthy and playing well, teams do this thing constantly where a guy will be unhealthy. He will not play for them, and they will say, "We can't trade him." Same that we're watching this with Zion. Can't trade him because he's at his lowest value. This guy is good. He's worth way more than we're gonna get for trading him right now. But when do they become worth that value? That narrative doesn't stop or start if a guy doesn't have injury history, and then they come back, they start playing well, and you're like, "This is when you need to trade him." He's playing well. He's gonna get hurt again. He's gonna get injured. He's gonna be out, and then we're gonna be right back to where we were. They need to trade him while he's playing well and
Take a look
not get hung up. Sorry. Yeah, go for it.
take a look at like the other GMs around the league's perspective on that though. They ship him or they try to ship him, and they're poaching around to other GMs, and other GMs are like, "Why the hell are you going to try to trade this guy who you've decided to keep on your team? Obviously, he's been hurt quite often, so they can't really trade him when he's hurt, but it's like, I wouldn't wanna I mean, if I'm another GM, I'm not taking Joel Embiid if he's only gonna play if he I mean, we're not certain on how he's gonna do, but at the same time, there's a chance. I feel like Kawhi Leonard is proving himself this season. He's been pretty healthy so far. He's averaging probably 28. So, I feel like both of these players belong on the team. They need to stay on their team because anywhere else, I think, would be a little problematic. I mean, Joel Embiid can go where? Where can he go that will he'll the fan base will have enough patience for him? I mean, Philly's already pretty toxic fan base, and
Well,
they're with him right now. They're with him.
clearly some of these GMs don't operate with the fans base best intentions in mind. Again, you look at Sacramento and see literally anything they've done. Um, I just think it's ridiculous because they've been trying to get rid of him. Joel Embiid is obviously an MVP caliber player when he plays. Um, I think they're not going to get any with the $54 million he's taken up on their roster in terms of cap. They have a really good young core. They have Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, McCain, Quentin Grimes. I think is on the qualifying right, so he's a unrestricted free agent this summer. But if they want to re-sign him, they will be able to with those bird rights, I believe. Kelly Oubre Jr., Drummond. They have a really good team, and obviously with Joel Embiid, they're a contender. But I don't think he's going to be healthy long enough for that to ever materialize. And if they can trade him right now when he's playing healthy and get literally anything in return, maybe a young player, maybe a draft pick, he's not a negative asset if he's playing well right now. So they could use that to future proof this team. Again, they're not going to give him an extension. Like he's done when this contract's over, right? Because you can't justify bringing that back unless he goes on some tear here for the next 3 months and just continues to play great, and then goes into
Exactly.
next season and
If he
plays
balls
70
out,
games. Yeah, but he's not. That's not.
I mean,
It's not going to happen.
you just don't think that's yeah. I mean, from history, we've seen that that probably won't happen, but Philly's just hoping we're hoping on that possibility, that shot, that chance for him to be fully healthy for a playoff run. And if he's fully healthy for a playoff run, then Philly's gonna be pretty happy. You know,
Meanwhile, you have Tyrese
look at
Maxey averaging 29.5 points a game. You don't need Joel Embiid anymore.
that you could use him. I mean, you go in the playoffs right now. Your five's Andre Drummond. I mean, no
I
disrespect to
like
Andre
Andre
Drummond, he's
Drummond.
a great amazing player, but he's not Joel Embiid. And they all know that.
Averaging 8
Philly knows
rebounds
that.
a game.
That's great. He has
That's all you
boards.
need, and
But
he's
Joel
yeah.
Embiid could help compensate for points. Maxey has a
Well,
bad night. They're keying on him. If you have Joel Embiid and Maxey, what are you going to do in the playoffs? I mean, that pick and roll, a
well,
good chance of playing good basketball in the playoffs.
I guess if you think you legitimately have a shot at a championship with Joel Embiid, and you think he's going to be healthy, you have to keep him. But I don't know how you're going to trick it. It's just we saw Anthony Davis with the Mavericks. They've been talking about trading him for the last pretty much the entirety of this season since he got injured early on.
Yeah.
He got healthy for long enough there that they could have made a trade. They were in serious trade talks with a couple of organizations, the Hawks specifically. It sounded like after the Trae Young move, and then he tore ligaments in his hand in a game that he probably shouldn't have been playing in. They should have shut him down and they should have traded him when they had a chance. But then he started playing well and they convinced himself that maybe we don't need to trade this guy. And then he got injured again. And now I mean, he probably should be out for the season, but Rich Paul and Clutch Sports are trying to get him out of that organization. So they're going to try to bring him back. They didn't say he will be reevaluated in 6 weeks when he got injured. They said he'd be healthy in 6 weeks. So, but they could have. The point is, they could have moved on from him before that, but he started getting healthy, and they saw that as maybe an opportunity for a team that was already terrible, and they didn't shut him down and just trade him. So, what's the odds that doesn't happen with the 76ers here? In February 9th, Joel Embiid gets injured, another knee injury.
Yeah, it's totally possible, and they could get assets out of him, but I'm not sure there's gonna be many GMs out there that are gonna look at Joel Embiid and say, "Yes, we want him. We'll give you everything." You know?
I don't
And
not it
those
doesn't have to
assets
be
won't be
everything.
what are you looking for out of Joel Embiid? Tell me what you would want as a GM that you think some GM would do.
Maybe literally if someone will give you a first round pick at this point, or a young player, or even just a center and a wing. Maybe get some more wing depth on that team. They have a lot of guards right now. If they could get a 3-and-D wing, like a Hunter, and a pick. Because if Joel Embiid gets injured again, the value is nothing. And you end up letting him walk eventually for nothing. Unless he signs some seriously reduced contract, or they just, again, make a sacrifice and sign him to a contract because they have some type of loyalty to him.
I think at this point, you gotta ride with your guy. Gotta ride with your guy. There's really, like you're gonna have to take that loss. I
I'm
think
going to shake my
Embiid's
head.
worth it. I think he's
Gotta
worth
get
it
serious.
for the potential.
Seriously.
No? Not
Okay.
oh,
That's fair. So Ivan believes in Joel Embiid still. He's just as delusional as the rest of Philadelphia. What was the last thing we wanted to talk about here?
did wanna talk about Cooper Flag. I mean, he just last 2 games, 83 points, I think? He had 34 against he had 49 against Charlotte, then he dropped 34 against Houston. Like, this guy I mean, the Houston game, I think, is more impressive than any of the other games because Houston knows they're a good defensive team. They know Dallas offensively is coming for Cooper Flag. Or offensively, it's mainly Cooper Flag out there, and he still dropped 34. Like, they got
Yeah, he
Amen
had
Thompson, they got
no
Coop
help in that
Ellie
game.
like exactly. I think Cooper Flag is I mean, it's just tragic seeing him on Dallas right now from what Nico Harrison's original plan was. I know people are gonna talk down on the trade. It was a disgusting trade. Sure, we all know that. But if Anthony Davis was healthy, same thing as Philadelphia. If Anthony Davis was healthy, Kyrie Irving was healthy, Eric Lively was healthy,
If anyone in their
they had
starting
more wins
five
this
that they
season.
planned on coming into the year
Look,
with was healthy.
hey, he went into gamble. They went into gamble, and the same thing the Sixers are doing with Joel Embiid. They're gambling, but right
Hey,
now, Cooper
well,
Flag's looking like
before you continue, let me just ask you one question. You said Nico Harris's vision. He did not know they were going to have Cooper Flag. He made that Anthony Davis
okay.
for Luca
I
trade without the idea of having Cooper Flag. So tell me, this team without Cooper Flag, if you want to defend Nico Harris's vision, this team without Cooper Flag was going to do anything.
well, listen, it got him. You know, hey, this is the game plan. Once they got Cooper Flag, it's like,
Okay.
wow, we look real good right now. But obviously, Cooper Flag is Cooper Flag. Like he's gonna be a top 5 player in the league to come. But
Yes.
I think from that point, Nico Harrison looked pretty good. You know, at that point. But obviously,
Good.
Luka
Currently
late
unemployed.
La La Land.
Um, so
Hey, but he yeah.
obviously terrible trade. Don't have to reiterate that. But the fact that they did get Cooper is probably the only thing that could even come close to redeeming that trade, because Cooper Flag is probably going to be a top five guy in the league going forward. I honestly, averaging 19 and a half or 19.8 points, I think, after that, these last 2 game stretch as a rookie. I think clear cut favorite for rookie of the year after that performance against Charlotte and Concanipple. I mean, they did lose the game, but Charlotte and Dallas are both
41.
supposed to be tanking, so who really won that game? Who's gonna get the better draft pick? And he dropped 49 points. I was I was watching that game and, like, screaming. I was like, I thought he was gonna hit 50. It would have been awesome, but um, he's just when you watch him play, his ability to finish either hand, um, just around the rim, his jumper needs to start falling. It doesn't look fundamentally bad. Like the shot looks good, it just doesn't fall. He doesn't shoot the three ball
Hey,
at a high rate. But
he
we've
still
seen
drops
guys improve
34.
their shooting. Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna be one of those guys who are gonna work their ass off and add new skills to their game every single offseason, and I think he's gonna be like a Wemby. Obviously, Wemby is number 1. We know that. He's gonna be the best player in the NBA for
If
probably
he
the
can
next
stay
10
healthy.
years if he could
He's
stay healthy,
banged up
but
all year.
listen, man, you're 7 what is he, 7'5"? You know?
Something
This
along
is the
those
first
lines.
time
He
we've
keeps
seen a guy like
changing.
that. He's gotta be unhealthy once in a while here. So,
Yeah. I mean, I'm not rooting for him to be unhealthy or anything. I'm just saying after essentially 3 years, they shut him down his rookie year because they weren't competing for anything, but missed a lot of last year with those blood clots. He did miss time before that rookie year and sophomore year just from various injuries, and he's missed a ton of games this year already. I think he's already out of contention for postseason rewards, so he'll be the top 10 if he could get it defensive player of the year, but he didn't, so Evan Mobley is. Um, I just don't know if he's gonna be that. I mean, he's gotta show me a healthy season at this point.
yeah, I mean, it could be one of those LeBron packages, you know? I mean, obviously, they made his rules to prevent players from doing it, but hey, I'm hurt. Let me rest. I can rest, you know?
What
These
are you doing
superstars
if
getting
Wemby
PTO
comes
time.
in? They are. What are you doing if Wemby comes into next season from like training camp, just 40 pounds heavier, lean muscle mass, just huge,
Oh, no. You
like
know who
Shaq.
needs that package? Chet Holmgren. Chet
Yeah,
Holmgren
he
needs that
does.
package. He needs to go to LeBron, say, "Whatever LeBron I see you working on in the off season, I need 30 more pounds on me because
He's like,
I'm against Wemby."
million, I just be
Yeah.
eating.
Matchup. Yeah. Just Ian.
Um,
No other anyways,
Nothing.
but,
So, I think that's everything we wanted to get into today on the schedule. Obviously, are you looking forward to any games coming on either tonight or tomorrow over the coming days here?
obviously, gotta watch my Clippers-Suns matchup. Um,
Playing right now, they are up three
I
points
know.
on the Suns.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna watch that once we get off here, and then I don't know if there's any particular games. I mean, we could take a look at a few.
Uh,
Is there
I
any,
was
like,
looking
big
for
matchups coming up?
There always are. I am going to watch the Celtics play the Knicks in person in the TD Garden on Sunday, so that'll be fun.
Holy shit, dude. That's
Yeah, it's
fire.
gonna be hype. So I'm looking forward to that. But outside of that, I mean, I
Go
just
Knicks.
looking forward to good basketball. That's crazy. That's
Yes.
crazy.
Go
But
Knicks. We love the Knicks.
you guys can find us pretty much anywhere at High Expectations on socials. I got my Twitter handle up there. I will put Ivan's in the description and get him on the graphic as well. Big ups to the
Okay.
gang, big ups to the squad. Nah, up there.
Yeah.
Up there. Big ups to the squad. I mean, it'll be down there in the description. Thank you guys for tuning in as always. And you can find the rest of our stuff at the channel. Bye. See you tomorrow.